It was probably as uncomfortable to watch as it was to play in. I am Dan Kingerski on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now platforms, YouTube and Facebook. Do me a favor, like and follow on the YouTube side, like and like on the Facebook side. So the Penguins lose to the Buffalo Sabres 7-3. That's kind of where the story begins here on Thursday at KeyBank Arena. I'm in the Sabres media room. It's a lot warmer here. And the night should have been or should have belonged to Sidney Crosby. I'm going to do this video much more off the cuff than I usually do because I think there were some real raw emotions that we want to get into. There's not a whole lot of facts or details that we need to explore. The Penguins were beaten badly. In fact, I think they were beaten badly by themselves for the second straight game. I mean, they were shellacked by Tampa Tuesday down in Tampa 6-1. John Cooper called off the Dogs in the third period, or quite frankly, it could have been just a lot worse. Buffalo added some later goals. The Penguins added a couple of garbage time goals as Kevin Hayes gets a goal. Blake Lizotte gets probably the most ridiculous goal he's ever going to score as Buffalo goalie James Reimer makes a save. The puck's laying there, and Rasmus Dahlin tries to clear it, kind of stumbles as he kicks the puck, kicked it into his own net. Lizotte gets the goal. He was 10, 15 feet away. Okay, there are your Penguins highlights as we get to the main one. Sidney Crosby, of course, gets the first period goal. If you're into numerology, it was kind of funny that, of course, a Crosby milestone happened at a unique moment at 11:11 of the first period. Too bad it didn't happen on January 11th. That would have been just even a little more delicious as Crosby takes a good pass and just slams a top-shelf wrister from 10 feet away into the goal. He celebrates a little bit, got the Penguins back in the game for the briefest of moments. It's 2-1 midway through the first period. There was a chance the Penguins got back into it. However, in a season full of brutal defensive performances, glaring defensive mistakes, ghastly turnovers, and inexplicable performances, I think the Penguins' defensive effort might have been the worst of the season on Thursday. That might have been their worst from top to bottom because no one played well. There wasn't a single player that I would circle whose positives outweighed their negatives. Kevin Hayes had 6 shots, but there was moments I was like, oh, sloppy was the height of their game, and it just cascaded downward from there. So you're asking, what the hell is happening? What's going on? Are they quitting? Do they have no motivation? In fact, that was the question that I respectfully put both to Brian Rust. I didn't ask Sid. I didn't have the heart. Poor Sid. We're asking him about the milestone, breaking Wayne Gretzky's record, and his heart and his jaw were kind of on the floor. He was in no mood to talk about individual achievements or accomplishments on Thursday. And I wasn't going to twist the knife. You can just see somebody wearing it, and it was all over him. That loss just physically hurt Sidney Crosby. Brian Rust kind of soldiered through it. It clearly disgusted him too. But we asked him about the record. Watch the video, watch Rust kind of give me a little look, and then uncorks a real beauty of a quote. He knew what he was doing. He at least had a little fun with it. But I think the question that you and I want to get into, sink our teeth into, and I'll be writing about this on Pittsburgh Hockey Now, probably for Friday morning, rather. I'm out of time. Dan can only go for so many hours straight, and I've been going since 4 a.m. Today. So here is, the question I asked Mike Sullivan, and if you watch the post game, I struggled with the wording, and I finally settled when it was my turn to jump in before we wrapped it up quick, because after a loss like this, you don't get 10 minutes to talk to Mike Sullivan. You probably get 2, maybe 3. And I said, Mike, respectfully, is the team struggling to find its motivation right now? I mean, clearly, you watched the game in Tampa. You watched the game Thursday night, or if you didn't, that they played heartless, lifeless, listless, emotionless, sad, pathetic hockey. I could go on, I suppose. Bereft of life, anyway. And to his credit, Sullivan didn't bristle when I asked. I was prepared for the bristle. But he said, no, I don't know if that's the case. I found this insightful, and I'm going to kind of quote him to you here. I think the guys are going into the game with the right intentions. We understand the circumstance we're in. And here's where he explains the dark side. It's not an easy circumstance, and I'm stating the obvious when I say that. None of us want to be in it. But we are. And so it's our responsibility to one another to bring our best every night, and that's what we're trying to do. Here's when he explains it. When it doesn't go the right way, I think we're a little bit vulnerable from a confidence standpoint. And so when it doesn't go, when it goes the wrong way, especially early in the game, that's one of our particular challenges, and the circumstance that we're in, we've got to find a way to do a better job. He goes on to explain, but it's not a lack of motivation. And I can appreciate that answer. They show up with every intention of playing well. When the other team smacks them, or when they start making mistakes, they don't have the guts, the heart, the intensity right now, and they probably won't over they'll have it intermittently, but it's not there. It's gone. They lost it with this season. When things go poorly, they don't have that fight back because they expect bad things to happen. I saw some commenters on Pittsburgh Hockey Now saying, they should have been tanking a while ago. This whole, playing for culture stuff was nonsense. And I say, no, this is exactly the point of playing to win the games down the stretch, is to avoid this heartless, this soul-sucking situation that they're in. No, they weren't going to make the playoffs. That was, I think, evident. The last glimmer was the Islanders' loss, obviously. The last little sliver of the hope there. If the Penguins were still winning, you could call up some of the young players for a little run here. Wilkes-Barre has clinched a playoff spot. You could call up Owen Pickering, Rutger McGroarty, or Owen Pickering and Ville Koivunen, or whoever you want. Look, they only played with 11 forwards on Thursday. I suppose they could call up an emergency player or two, pending Evgeny Malkin's health. Do you want to subject the kids to this misery? There's the difference, and there was the reason to play to win, to pass along that culture and all of that intensity that we talked about a week ago. And that's why you don't tank, because this feeling can be corrosive. It can spread and it can stick. How many teams fall into the abyss and it takes years to get out? I think the Penguins are starting to flirt with the abyss. I mean, Look at the roster. Let's go down the Penguins roster here. Ryan Shea. I like Shea. He's fighting to be an NHLer. Kevin Hayes. Joona Koppanen. Really not an NHLer. Let's see here. Connor Dewar. Fourth line plug kind of guy. High energy. You know, he has value, but he's not an impact player, that's for sure. Connor Timmins. Vladdy Kolyachonok. Fighting to be in the NHL. May or may not stick after this season. Ryan Graves. Danton Heinen. Kind of makes vanilla. Emil Bemstrom, AHL player. Philip Tomasino fighting to be in the NHL. Kind of a 4A player, I would say. Maybe a third line scorer. Nola Chari fading. Chris Letang struggling. Erik Karlsson, struggle bus. So you go down that list. Lots of AHL players, lots of guys who are not established NHLers, who probably most of them won't be established NHLers. And then you've got Raquel, Crosby, and Rust. That's a rough lineup. And no one's ever going to say that, because they are battling, they are trying, but right now the belief and the confidence has been washed away. Florida pummeled them. Oh, make no mistake, Florida pummeled them on Sunday, and that was probably the beginning of the end. The Penguins could do nothing that third period when the shot attempts were 30-4. 30-4. And the Penguins just carried that straight over, carried it straight into Tampa Bay. That helpless sort of feeling. Maybe that's the word for it. You can use your own adjectives. You can fire away. I mean, look, the Penguins have earned it. The Penguins have earned a healthy dose of criticism, but I'll leave you this kind of my parting thought. Rolling through the locker room and talking to some players after the game and just watching and getting a sense of everything going on. Same thing with the morning skate, kind of getting a sense and watching the guys play the little soccer games and that sort of thing. I kind of feel bad for them. It's not supposed to be that way. I feel for them. Maybe feel bad is too harsh, but I feel for them because they haven't quit, but they're just mortally wounded. And we will wrap it up there. From KeyBank, like, subscribe. I'll put the tip jar there because these things are getting a little expensive. And quite frankly, I'm not sure why I'm doing them. But we will do these regular season games, all 82, baby, all Iron Man. And then I'll be in Wilkes-Barre for Lord knows how long. We'll have some fun with that up there. From KeyBank Center, I'm Dan Kingerski. Like, subscribe, have fun.